deep down, do you really believe you're going to win the Masters, right?
Do you think you can contend there again?
I truly do. It's not a bad thing that priorities change. It's just, but fans don't want
They
that
don't
to
have a
change.
clue.
They're like, I really don't. I don't care about your family. I want you to play good.
Yeah.
If on my deathbed, my kids have to say 2-time Masters champion first, then I'm a terrible dad. You can't worry about rumors. You got to know the truth. The PNC. My son wants, we dreamed of that, like playing in that. And I told him when I went to LIV, I said, hey, we're probably never going to play in this. I think we used the terms grow the game too much. Yeah. I know Tiger did some stuff in 2000, but Scottie's year was the best we've ever seen. With all the talent around the world now playing, that was it.
We've got Bubba Watson here talking all kinds of things. We're going to start with the Masters, and it's January, which is, Joaquin Niemann just got his invite. Mm-hmm. I know over the holidays, Bryson opened his invite. But I was curious, like, if you're a former champion, do you still get the paper invite? Yes. Or is it just automatic, like, we know he'll be here?
Okay, before LIV, I knew it was going to be there.
Yeah.
I have no reason to say it's not going to be there, sure. But I knew it was coming, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I do get the email that says, I get the paper invite, but then I get an email that says registration is open. Mm-hmm. And then I forward it to my assistant and she registers me.
What do you do with the paper invites? Like, it feels like to me, a normal person, that I would never want to throw it away. But when you've had probably 15 invites at this point.
Yeah, I go back to, as my childhood, I go back to, these are my dreams. Yeah. These are my dreams to compete and do these things at a high level and be a part of these special events. And when I think of, and then also I think of Arnold Palmer, who had the warehouse back in Latrobe, and he had all of his memorabilia, mm-hmm. right? They saved everything. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a museum, right? Mm-hmm. And his grandkids and his family can go back and remember and see things. And so my kids are getting to the age now where they kind of want dad to keep things.
Yeah.
And so they make sure, they're like, Dad, did you get, because they know the routine of that week. So they know Champions Dinner. They're like, hey, did you get your menu signed? Or did you get this? Or did you get that? So they check on it. Because my son is, he thinks he's all about sports. So he kind of wants to remember dad, and he's a lover. So he wants me to save everything.
What is I know that as players you get like the Masters debit card for the week, and you get a number of knickknacks sort of things.
Yeah.
What's the coolest one or piece of memorabilia that you have gotten from the Masters that you want to hold on to?
The invite every year.
Okay, so you've not...
No, you have... so the first time I won, in 2012, you get your pin, like there's a pin that comes in a little bag. You see it on hats and their collars and different things. And it's your like badge, right? Yep. And so you actually get another badge, but you get a little pin that you get every year. And that year in 2012, I got number 15. So number 1, they say for defending champ.
Okay.
So every defending champ gets number 1. So that's where you sign your name, you sign in as, even if you get there 3 days late, you're number 1.
Okay.
So I happened to be 14th showing up, but I was number 15. And I told Tim Tebow that I was going to play in his event. I win the Masters. And he calls me and he said, hey man, you don't have to come. Like, you just adopted a son, you won the Masters, your life is crazy. We're a week and a half from our event, and you're shutting it down to get used to your son and all these things. And I said, no, I'm going to be there. And I took him the badge. I said, because it's his number, right? Yeah. So I said, here, man. I said, you might not like it, but it means something to me. And so I handed him my badge. And so that's the one thing I regret. I don't have that badge.
You gave it away?
But I leave mine in the package. So it's like a little plastic package, and I leave mine in there. And so that's the one thing that I gave to him, because I loved who he is, loved who he was as a competitor. And so I took it to him and I said, no, I told you I'd be here, I'm going to be here.
Oh, I love that.
And so I went there and gave that to him, and he probably threw it away. No. Tim Tebow,
Hopefully not.
He could care less what I gave him. But anyway, so we get these little badges that I now have saved all of them, and so they're in the little
Except
pack.
For your first win.
Except for that one. What a dummy.
Well, what's cool is you were multi-champion, so we are both 13 years from a year that you won, and we are 11 years from a year that you won. Do you think about them the same, or do you think about them, are they each very distinct in your mind?
Truthfully, I don't think about them.
Sure.
No, that sounds bad.
When someone like me asks you to
Yeah,
think
then
about
I have
them.
to think about them again. Relive the emotions. But, I see them differently because it's both of the years that I adopted my kids. So in 12, we adopted Caleb 2 weeks before. And then in 14, we adopted her in November, Dakota in November. So it was the Masters are the same anniversaries as the years that we've adopted our kids. So it's a double meaning or it's a different meaning for me. And my daughter always asks me, I never got to walk on the green when you won, but Caleb has.
Yeah.
She's like, can you just win it again? And so that's our joke. Every time we show up at the Masters, she's like, hey, can you win again? And so she's trying to get me to win. But obviously the first one is very special because you never believe, you can believe, but deep down, do you really believe you're going to win the Masters, right? I didn't have the upbringing or the skill set or the people around me maybe that I really truly believed it. I'd tell you I believe it, but until you actually do it.
Well, hey, Scottie Scheffler, his first time, morning of Sunday morning, he's crying in his wife's arms, telling her, "I don't think I can do this."
It's
that is inside of every pro golfer.
100%, and if you say it's not there, you're a liar, right? Like, let's be honest. And so the second time was more of I was telling myself as we're playing, I was down 3 with 10, 11 holes to go.
Yep.
To Jordan
That's right,
Spieth.
to Jordan.
To 19-year-old or 20-year-old Jordan Spieth.
20-year-old
Jordan Spieth. And so, I was telling myself, I've done this before, he hasn't. I've done this before, he hasn't. That's what I kept telling myself. So it was two different time periods.
Yeah.
So the second one it's not easier, it was just different. The emotions were different, the feelings were different.
I think that came across too, and it would be very interesting for Jordan to be in here because maybe he would admit to it, but for us watching at home, it's like, that guy won 2 years ago. That guy was at Texas last year.
Exactly.
And, it flips very quickly on the 8th and the 9th hole.
Yeah.
I
went birdie. He went bogey. So I was 1 up going to 10.
Yeah.
So I was 3 down to 1 up with 9 holes to play.
Yeah.
And I got lucky. Nobody birdied 13. Nobody birdied 15. Him and Jonas Blix, I think it was.
That's right.
And so nobody birdied. So I had a 3-shot lead after 13, and I parred out, and nobody did anything. Not that they didn't do anything. It's the Masters. It's not like it's easy to birdie.
No, I know. I was not involved, but there was a big Golf Magazine interview that you did back then. I know you were doing all kinds of interviews back then, but I think it was for the cover. And I was just curious, like, if you put yourself back in that stretch of time, how different are you as a person 10 years, 12 years onward?
As a person?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'd hope that everybody on the planet would say I'm a better person.
Yeah.
Forget golf. Now as I get older, you realize hopefully you realize what your purpose is and what you're trying to do and what is the most meaningful to you. When I was young and dumb and so-called innocent, I didn't know any better, right? These kids today in all sports, camera in their face, millions and millions of dollars thrown at them at 20 years old, 19 years old, these high school kids in sports. It's crazy. You're going to have a lot of negative things happen to you, right? Because you haven't been taught. And so golf, the beauty of golf is that you have to earn it, right?
Sure.
You have to gain and earn it. And so it took me a long time to figure out that golf was just an avenue for me to do better. It is something I love to do, but I can do that without money. It's just something, this is my avenue. I can help and do other things, other creative things.
Sure.
Not only helping with around the world with different organizations and charities, but also, doing fun, creative things like owning a candy shop and a baseball team and different things like that.
I was told a little story that after you won in 2014, because you didn't do a whole lot with the green jacket in 2012, you did some particular purchasing in the pro shop after you won in 2014. And you bought a lot of neckties. Is that right?
So I think it was it neckties? So in 12,
Yeah.
so I know for a fact in 12, I could be making this up too, but now I'm not making the story up. The year.
Okay.
I always had this dream, I'm not going to New York. Like I'm going to
doing the
win.
media
I'm going to
tour.
win and I'm not going to the media. Like I'm the Masters champ. I don't have to go to the media.
Too good for the media.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding.
And so, but it wasn't because I didn't want to. It's just because there was things, right? Like you just wanted to play it cool. You want to just take it in.
Yeah.
Like why do I want to run off to do this? I want to remember it, feel it.
Go home. Yeah.
And that's what you think until you do win it, and you're like, "It's New York." But from my situation, we just adopted a son, and they were in Florida, so I flew home. I didn't get home till 3 a.m, and his bottle feeding was at 6. So I was up quick, 6 o'clock. I'm feeding him, and so that was Monday morning. So then Tuesday I left. I went to New York,
Okay.
and so I didn't have. I had the jacket.
Yep.
But I don't have a tie. Who has a tie? And I definitely don't have a tie. And so the next day, there was, I'll say 30 ties, Masters logos on them, in my hotel.
But from who?
I'm taking a wild guess, Augusta
chilling.
National.
Yeah.
And
Because they know.
so I had different ones.
We got to get a tie on Bubba.
Bubba,
He's
you
making
got to have a tie with that. And so then in 14, here's the selection of ties.
Okay, so this
So
wasn't a Bubba ransacking the pro shops.
No,
or-
it
yeah.
was. I just didn't know, and I've had people call me since they've won.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say any names, but
No.
since they've won, they're like, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" I'm like, "Hey, man, here's what you should do."
Yeah.
And so but I wore it in New York in 2012. And then I never wore it. I got home and I never took it out. I hid it from everybody, didn't let anybody touch it. Because I respect the members, I respected the game of golf, and I respected the Masters. I didn't want to be the guy at Taco Bell or McDonald's or whatever, having the jacket, right? I just wanted to, and I wanted my life to go back to normal.
Sure.
I just wanted to play golf. And so I hid it. And then in 14, I took it to every school that I went to, my elementary school, my middle school, my high school, at Georgia, and then so I did that. And every school I donated, I asked them what they needed. They said,
Wow.
I think one said the elementary school said computers. The middle school actually wanted a electronic board out front, so when parents are picking up their kids, they could, the electronic board would keep them updated. So if you go to the middle school, you'll see my name on the electronic board outside.
Okay.
And then the high school wanted computers and some other stuff, so I donated the money to buy some things that they needed. Georgia didn't need as much as everybody else, and so.
So you gave the big donation that made this football program. So
Yes,
darn
that
good.
you heard it here first.
Booster Bubba.
Yeah, exactly. It took many years, but it finally worked out. It was a lotto ticket I got them. They scratched it off. No, but so the middle school and the elementary school and the high school. So that's the only places I took it. I tried not to take it anywhere else,
Yeah.
just because I wanted to use it for good. If that makes sense.
Sure.
I want to use it to impact people and hopefully inspire people. So that's why I brought it out the
nice.
second time. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed through watching you over the years is you have more of a presence at the lead-up events to the Masters than most players. You've been at the drive, chip, and putt a lot. You have been at the women's amateur. You often show up on the first tee for the opening tee shots. Why do you do that? Because no one else does.
Well, just for the record, I'm not happy about it. LIV Golf.
I know, you won't do it this year.
LIV Golf plays the week before, and I've talked to them about it. I've tried to end on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I said it's great for LIV. It's great for the bonding of relationships. We should end on Friday or end on Saturday so we can get up there and do these things.
Sure.
Right. There's a lot of past champions on LIV, and so let's go back to before LIV. The reason why I do it is because I feel like I'm part of that club now that I'm a champion, and they act like I'm part of that club. They treat me like I'm part of the club, and these are CEOs and smart people and business people and all these things, right? And so if they're willing to take time out of their lives to give back and to grow the game the right way, then why would Bubba Watson not want to be a part of this? If he's part of the club or this exclusive championship club, then I should be there supporting it as well. And that's 1 week out of the year. It's a couple days out of the year. So the drive, chip, and putt started, and I was like, I'm watching it. I remember watching it at my house I rented. My kids were with me, and I was like, what am I doing? It's 8 in the morning. I'm going. So I jumped up and went, and I left my family at the house. I didn't leave them, but I went, told them why I was doing it, and then they saw me on TV. So my kids thought that was cool, and then but then I was like, I need to be doing this, and so I did that. And then when they added the ladies amateur, it was a no-brainer. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm showing up at the latest Friday night now, so I could be there for the amateur. And then it was, I can't remember now. It was Nancy Lopez is Arnold Palmer of women's golf. So like anything Nancy does, like I support it, right? And so you had Lorena Ochoa, Sayri Pak, I think it was, and Annika Sorenstam.
Yeah.
So you had 4 of them, 4 great champions, 4 different age groups. And so I was there watching them tee off, and they were nervous, and it was funny interacting with them and supporting them. And so, you know, my wife was a professional athlete for a few years, and so to support women and to support sports that they love, why wouldn't I be there? And so it's just it added another day. But it also added another day I get to go to Augusta. So
it's not a bad place to go.
It was a nice place to go.
Yeah. It's not exactly out of the way because you're going to be there all week.
Right.
Now you're annoyed because you won't be able to do that this year.
No, the last couple of years we haven't been able to do it, and I'm still protesting. It's not going anywhere. It's a one-man protest, but I'm trying to get them to see what I see.
Yeah.
And to hear what I hear in my head, so that we can end and show up and support. If we're truly going to be growing the game worldwide with LIV, we can start with the biggest tournament in the world in these juniors, right? So that's the way I feel.
So
don't tell them that though.
To your daughter's question or her desire to walk onto the 18th green, like, do you think you can contend there again?
I truly do. It comes down to mental strength, mental awareness, comes down to making a few putts here and there. Golf is such a fine line of you make one putt or you chip in at the right moment and it inspires you for the rest of the tournament or the day or whatever, right, or the moment. And truthfully, I've actually had the thoughts of if you do it, right, like if you actually pull it off. I mean, now I'm 46, so now you're talking about Jack Nicklaus, you know, like, you know, when he won, right? His age. And so if you did that, you know, maybe you drop the shoes on the green and walk off, right? Like it's that'd be a cool moment, right? Like with my daughter and my son.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, right. And so then that'd be your last time. And you're like, dang, I don't really want to quit Augusta. Like, why would I quit? But it would be a cool moment, right? It'd be something cool to do. But then you'd regret it right after you do it. You're like, I got to go get my shoes. You know,
a few people.
It's like a wrestler that takes his shoes off and he's like, I'm leaving on it. And
in the spotlight.
But then you're like, I got to.
Yeah. Some people suggested Tiger should have done that in 19 just because of his comeback. And it's like, look.
You know how many people would chase after them shoes?
I know. Can you draw up what in your mind that would look like? Meaning last year we had like Augusta was firm and it was windy last year. It's been windy a little bit the last couple years. What does it need to look like score-wise for Bubba Watson to win there? Is that like us have the conditions gotten tighter that would deliver a Bubba Watson contention?
I think the conditions are right. The weather dictates every golf tournament, but around there, the wind dictates most of it. And then, and the beauty of Augusta is you can't say wind's going to be in the morning or wind's going to be in the afternoon. You never know, right? It'll flip on you real fast. And so the back nine is where you really have the tall trees and the wind's whipping. So it's hard. A guy tees off at 7:30 in the morning, a guy tees off at 2 in the afternoon. It makes it, the weather conditions are different or could be really different.
Do you think like eight under is where I could thrive? Is it a race to 18?
I think I was 10 to 14.
Yeah.
The two years were somewhere right in that area, if not those numbers. So I don't, not a high number, but not a low number. I think it's, you want to, but less wind for me, so I can do my shot shapes.
Sure.
I think because then, then I know what the ball's doing. I can do it. You're not really worried about like long putts on the greens because the wind's not going to either speed it up or slow it down. You can remember the breaks. So that's how I would say lighter wind. It's a better chance for me. Leave the conditions how they are. Like, obviously I don't want it wet and mud balls, but I just want less wind,
What was last year as difficult as you've ever seen it?
For sure. The guys, we had to go back, right? There was guys that had to go back in the morning.
Yeah.
And then in the morning it was freezing cold. The ball, the drives that you're used to hitting, now you're at 270 and now the holes don't, you can't even see the greens. It was crazy. Never seen, when Zach Johnson won, it was really cold.
Yeah.
And he never reached a par 5 and 2.
And wet.
And so like the ball wasn't going anywhere for anybody. And I think he won at a low number, like a low score.
Yeah.
It was like either 2 over even or 1 under. It was it was low.
I knew
it was like a US Open score.
Yeah, I know he played the par 5s, in like even par, which
Right.
is like, you're not supposed to be able to win.
No, exactly. So yes, it was the hardest condition I've probably played in, was that morning, cold and windy.
At this point, when you think back, I guess, winning 10 to 12, 13 years ago, what is harder about the place now than it was then, particularly for you?
Now I'm looking at energy level, right? You got 2 kids that want to play in the par 3. You've got family, you got friends. Everybody in the world wants to come to the Masters, and which is a great thing. But I rent 2 houses. There's a house over there, and there's my house. And my family stays with me, obviously. And so we have our routines, our bedtime routines, how we do things. And then sometimes you got to wake up really early. You got to wake up. So I have to plan out differently. When you're younger, you just go full tilt.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it. You just crash. And kids weren't around, so it was different. When I won, I ate burritos every day. So I ate burritos every day. I could eat the same meal every day of my life. I could do it. And I didn't have my family there, so I was just doing my thing. It made it a little bit easier, and not in a bad way, but it just made it easier.
I bet you any golfer who grows through a career, I bet you Spieth feels the same way right now. As he takes on more of a family, it's those things that this isn't even a question, but it's like people in the gambling world or in the fans end of things, I don't think about those things.
So it's funny. I've always said, people always, why did so and so start playing bad? Old age, old this. It's really not old age, because you can still perform, but your life has changed. You have more than likely have a wife, more than likely have kids as you get to your 40s, right? And so it's priorities change. You take 10 minutes less of practice, but it helps you a lot over here. Or you take 20 minutes less or 30 minutes less. It starts going, but over here is way better.
Sure.
Right? Or your marriage isn't very good and it hurts your golf, right? So it's all different levels you have to look at. And having 3 kids or 2 kids or 1 kid, it changes how you practice. And Scottie, loves his wife, loves his family. Jordan loves his wife, loves his family. Things are going to change.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe he's that good. He still plays unbelievable. But so it's not a bad thing that priorities change. It's just, but fans don't want that to change. They're like, I really don't. I don't care about your family. I want you to play good.
Yeah.
Because I love who you are.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work out that way.
Or they just don't know. Who knows what Bubba's dealing with?
Right. No, nobody knows what anybody.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with something,
Totally.
negative or positive.
One of the things you get to deal with is owning a minor league baseball team, the Wahoos. What kind of owner are you?
A great owner. I love to help. So I love being there and seeing the guys, and every year we have new guys, right? You have younger coming in, the good players move up.
Is it still the Reds organization?
No, we're the MLB made us. They handpicked who we go with. So we're with the Marlins now.
Okay.
So the last couple of years with the Marlins. Jacksonville is now the AAA, and we're the AA. So it's kind of and then So they picked it for us, which is not a bad thing because we have a lot of young talent. So it's great for us, and we see the talent go to the big team. But yeah, it's been fun. Now my son is 12, loves baseball, so he wants to go to batting practice. When the games start, he's like, we can go home because I can't hang out in the dugout.
Sure.
He probably could hang out in the dugout, but I don't let him.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't tell him this, but he's about to be 13, so he can be the ball boy now. And so he's wanting to go in there and be the bat boy and with the bat for the other team and do all those things.
I actually did that once. I got invited to do it for a spring training game, and it is the coolest thing. You get to run out to home plate. Everyone's looking at you. You know, you get really nervous. But I'm trying to think back to my, let's say, 12, 13-year-old self. I cannot imagine my dad owning two cooler things than a baseball team and a candy store. Like that, he has it made, right?
I wouldn't say I have it made, but yeah, I have it made. You know, I let it slip up. My son, it was a few years ago, and the lady, there's a side door, season ticket holders can come in the side door at the baseball team, and my son was with me, and I brought some friends. I was like, yeah, we use our season tickets, but there was 5 of us, and I had 4. So I buy season tickets. I pay just like everybody else pays. I pay for the ice cream just like everybody else pays. There's no free. I show everybody that this is what we do, and my kids, this is what we do. It's not free. And this lady, I was like, hey, instead of going around to the office, I'm just going to use my 4 tickets, and I'm just going to walk in. And she was like, there's 5 of you, and there's 4 tickets. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just going to go to the office. And she was like, who is this guy talking? What is he talking about? And I was like, I didn't think about it, but she just started. This is her first week, so this is her first homestand.
She doesn't know who Bubba Watson is.
She has no idea who I am, and I'm just in a T-shirt, and she could care less. But it was her second game. It was first homestand, and she's right there checking tickets, and my son's right beside me, and he's 9 years old, and I said, I'm Bubba Watson. I'm the owner of the team, and he goes, you own the team? And I was like, oh man, it was like one of my low moments in my life. I was like, dang it, I shouldn't have said that.
What's her reaction?
Well, she was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I know, it's all good. I should have just did right. I did wrong. And so we worked it out, but but it was my fault. It wasn't her fault at all. It was my fault.
No, I know.
So,
that's funny.
But my son was like, we own it. I was like, oh gosh. And so I lasted that long, and then I gave it away right in front of him. So
I love that.
But anyway, he knows now, so he loves it.
Yeah. How would you characterize where you're at in your career? You turned 46 a couple months ago. You had your PGA Tour career. Now you are with LIV. But how would you kind of characterize this moment in your golf life?
Selfishly, I would say I'm at a low point because I want to win. I want to prove to myself. I'm not worried about proving to others. And when I say others, I'm talking about the outside world. Like proving to my son hard work pays off, proving to my daughter.
I'll never forget Tiger saying when he was coming back, he wanted to prove to Sam and Charlie that he wasn't just a YouTube golfer, right? His greatest feats exist on YouTube. That's not the dad he currently is.
Right.
So you probably feel some element of like, yeah, my greatest feats have been before my children could really experience it, and you want to inspire them in some way.
I don't know how to say this the right way, but the way I see it is, here's how I've always worded it. If on my deathbed, my kids have to say 2-time Masters champion first, then I'm a terrible dad. So I don't want them to say anything about my career. Like, yes, I'm a golfer, but if you keep calling me, like I always tell my wife, if you keep calling me a golfer, then you're limiting who Bubba Watson is.
Sure.
I want to be creative. I want to do things. I want to do good things for people. I want to create businesses. I want to do some fun stuff and provide for my family. So, yes, but that doesn't, like me hitting range balls tomorrow or playing golf today doesn't inspire me. Like, if I win the Masters again, it's not, hopefully it doesn't make them love me anymore or care for me anymore or me to be a better dad for them. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's hard to word, but I'm looking at it. I want them to see me. I don't want them to see me, the YouTube golfer, as being a bad Bubba Watson or a negative, how people on the internet wrote bad things about me at once. And so I don't want that to be who they know me as. I want them to know me as the internet's not always right.
Sure.
And so I want them to know me as who Bubba Watson is as a person. Forget what I do for a business.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, I do want to win. I would love for them to be there. I mean, I have videos of me winning in LA when my son's in my wife's arms. It's Golf Channel, right?
Yeah.
It's Golf Channel. So we have footage, we have all that. So it helps me. And then when I won the Masters in 12, all the footage of me talking about, after every round, I talked about him. So we have that.
Yeah.
He gets to see it. When he watches the replay of the Masters, my daughter and him wait till the end when he's shown on TV over my wife's arms.
Yeah.
So they forget how I played. They wait for that.
Yeah, that's
because my
cool.
daughter sees that.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to do that.
I want that. The LIV golf experience is ongoing. Part of it I know has probably been rewarding for you, but also I'm sure there have been parts that have not felt great. What have you learned when you take a step back from the last 2.5 years?
I've learned quite a bit, and the one thing that really sticks out to me, there's people in my life that I truly trust and believe in and seek advice from. But one of the things that I've learned is you can't worry about rumors. You got to know the truth. So if I have a problem with you, I can't go and over here. I got to come to you. Or I heard that you said something about me. I need to come to you and talk to you about it and find out the truth. Don't just start going off of media or internet or this or blaming people and blaming the you just can't do that. You got to find out the real truth before you make a decision or a judgment. And we shouldn't be making judgment anyway because I've got my own issues. You probably don't have any issues.
No, I do. But
what I'm saying is we've got to figure out before we start making a judgment or a thought on something. Let's find out the truth. Let's research it and figure that out. And so I found out who true friends are. I found out the almighty dollar pushes people to do things that aren't nice or say things that aren't nice. And so it's a good learning moments for me, but it's also good teaching moments for my family side.
Sure. It has been I would say, being on the media side of that, it has been a weird time because, to your point, we operate in a world in which we're also trying to stomp out rumors. We're also trying to get to the truth, and it's just been one of those things that it's not everyone wants to give the truth or
hear the truth.
Or hear it. Sure. No, totally.
Because they already have their ideas.
Sure.
Because the one thing I've always wondered, though, as I get older, media, right? The people that are in the media or in the news, I mean, they're people too. So you've got your own ideas and thoughts, but now you have to go over here and try to play right down the middle, right? And I'm not saying everybody plays down the middle fairly. Yeah. They already have their judgment or their thoughts. So that's a tough one. I don't know if I could be in the media and be like, hey, let me talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Or
It has been a long enough of an era, the LIV era, where there has been a good bit of reaction and then understanding, right? I just think about Rory, who has reacted to LIV in its existence very emotionally up front and reacted to players leaving, and then he has publicly said, I was thinking about I was putting them in my shoes almost rather than me putting myself in their shoes. And so this isn't a question, but it has gone on long enough, it has existed long enough for there to be a little bit of an exhale, let a little of the pressure out of the balloon, if you will. And I feel like we're at an interesting point. I know that you're not involved in negotiations yourself, but are you looking forward to there being some sort of future in which maybe you could get back and play some events, or maybe you don't want to, but when you look forward, how do you look forward when it's kind of up in question?
Oh, I mean, first of all, I would love to play in some tournaments, right? There's a few tournaments that I've played well at.
Sure.
LA, and obviously LA's, the Fires is not good right now, but Riviera, Travelers, won both of those 3 times.
Yep.
And so I'd love to go back to those. I love the team tournament in New Orleans. Been fun playing there. the PNC, where we watch Charlie and Tiger.
Yeah.
And my son wants, we dreamed of that, like playing in that. And I told him when I went to LIV, I said, hey, we're probably never going to play in this. Maybe we can start our own father-son, right?
Yeah.
And do our own thing. But so I told him, and we watch it. We still watch it together. And he said, Daddy, you ever think there's going to be a chance? And that's the one that'd be fun to do, right? I played in it a couple of years. My dad's passed away, so I played it with my father-in-law a couple of years before I went to LIV. And it was a great time, a great organization there with their running. But yeah, that's the one. As a family man, I'd rather play with my son. Like, that's fun. Like, Tiger's having a blast. All those guys are
It
having
is
a
one
blast.
of the most heartwarming events to be at in person, because, of course, what you see on TV is just as heartwarming, and Annika and Will are, tearing up. But to see it in person, you get to see it on every single tee box, right?
Right.
Trevino and Tiger and Freddie. So,
But you
sorry,
get,
I'm stoking your
no,
answer.
but you get to see him in a light. That's why I still watch golf, right? I love it, but you get to see him in a light that we normally don't see him in, right? Cutting up with one another, cheering for one another. You get to see him as a like a person, and not just a sports figure.
Yeah, as a parent.
And then Annika and her son. I mean, their story with the Arnold Palmer Hospital and stuff. I mean, it's a dream come true that she's playing and he's playing, and that's what the charity is that they're helping there. So that's a totally different story, which is heartwarming in itself. So
earlier off camera, we were talking the different places, like Bryson going to India, you in your past playing in China, blank slate, and you can bring a LIV event anywhere in the world. Where are you going?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question.
It could be Pensacola.
I would go straight to Pensacola, right? I've looked at it. I've tried to study it.
Yeah.
Our 10-year model is build a stadium. Stadium is a golf course. Host an event there. I don't see the property. I don't see the properties that are already built in Pensacola area, and then I don't see a sponsor that can,
Sure.
or multiple sponsors that can afford it, right? Or would want to afford it. They can afford it. They don't want to afford it.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking of just golf in general, Japan, right? I mean, that's a golf mecca. I love Japan. There's a golf course, Visa Teheyo. There's a golf course there that I love playing. You stare at Mount Fuji. You're on the clubhouse. You're on the second floor. You overlook 18 Mount Fuji, and so that's a cool place to go just because I love that setting. We're going to South Korea this year, but. Yeah, so Japan would be a place that I appreciate. And then on top of that, I really I'm not very good at it because it's hard 1 week out of the year, but links golf. I mean, I think, who doesn't love watching the British Open, right?
Yeah.
You watch people struggle and you watch people play really well.
Yeah. You strike me as an emotional person. The much that I've read about you, I can see it in your answers. What golf stuff stirs emotion in you these days? Is there something that really makes you emotional, like in a cry way, but also in a happy way? What stirs it up in you?
Well, I think we use the terms grow the game too much.
Sure.
From all levels. Growing the game is a loose term if you're not using it the right way. It sounds funny.
Completely agree.
And PGA Tour, the PGA of America, right, or the head pro, I would say head pros,
Sure.
head pros around the world. They're the ones that are the hands and feet, right? They know the junior golfers. They know the wives that are learning the game. They know the couples that are in the club. They're the ones teaching the game that are truly growing and showing how fun it could be. They're the ones coming up with ideas for junior golfs to hit wiffle balls or Velcro balls into a big giant blow up thing on the range, right? So that's what's growing the game. But we still have to take it around the world. Like LIV has taken it around the world. PGA Tour has played in many places. There's a lot of tours. So growing the game is loose. If you're not really putting the effort in of junior clinics at a tournament or doing these things, just going and playing golf and going home, you're not really, how is that growing the game? So that's the one thing that gets me fired up.
I can see that.
And, I mean, and I'm not saying I do any better than anybody else. I'm not saying I do that at all. That's not what I'm saying. In my hometown, I try to do a lot for junior golf. I have 4 tournaments that I'm a part of, my family's a part of. We have a high school tournament. We have a putt-putt tournament. We have a parent junior. And then, oh gosh, and then we have a junior tournament that we have a high school tournament and then a junior tournament during the summer that we're a part of. My whole family's a part of, and so we try to do it that way, and I try to show up and inspire and stuff like that. But so that's the one that really gets me going.
You
when
know
you
what?
talk about
You were
growing,
preaching to the choir.
but the growing the game, like that's just a loose term.
It's so, the alliterative nature of it, it does make it roll off of everyone's lips, and it's like it almost does a disservice to the how ubiquitously it's used.
Right. We're entertainers.
I know.
If we entertain the right way, people are going to want to pick
Such
up.
an easy lever to pull.
Yep.
You're 46, which, forgive me, but like this is the time in which a lot of guys start to see, okay, Champions Tour, it's only for a few years away. Is that something you're interested in? I know that the situation of LIV and everything.
No, I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that Fred Couple schedule where you just play a few here and there. But me and my wife have talked about it, right? We've talked about the family traveling. We've talked about the family. We've talked about Caleb because he'll be the oldest, caddying for me in some events just to do it, right? Just to say we did it. We've seen other families do it, other athletes do it, or other professionals do it. And so that would be fun, right? So that would be great for me. But at the same time, I know that's going to sound really bad, but at the same time, if somebody told me I'm done tomorrow, if my wife told me I'm done tomorrow, I'm done tomorrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because
we gotta keep her interested.
But that's more important, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I want to make sure people understand. Like, I'm a golfer. I sold cars for a little bit. You know, I owned a dealership, and I got out of the dealership. I owned a baseball team. I own things, but wife says, no, you're home. Like, I'm home. Like, that's just simple as that. My kids look at me the right way and say, you're home, I'm home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having fun right now, but I can easily turn that fun into home dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I love them so much. So I don't put all my eggs in, I have to do this or I have to be number one. So I can easily.
When did that flip for you? Because
when I realized who I should be.
Okay.
It took me a while. It took me a while, the man I should be. I played around at the man I should be, about 2% worth.
Sure.
And I need to be better for my wife. I need to be better for people around me. Then my kids came in the picture, be better for them. 20 years of marriage, 23 years together. It took me a while to figure it out. And if she was here, she'd tell you that I'm definitely a different person. Not that she was ever mad at who I was before, but I'm definitely different than I was when we first got married, for the better, hopefully. And
only a couple more, but one I have on here that I've been thinking about is, what's it been like for you seeing Ted Scott have so much success, with Scottie? He could end up being one of the greatest golfers ever. He's playing like it right now.
Yeah.
And he is having a ton of success with a really good caddy who you had a ton of success with. But what's it been? Has it been rewarding in any way? Have you been jealous of the fact that can happen with the guy that you used to do a lot of this work with?
I saw him at the showdown. I was the commentator on the course.
Yes.
So I got to see him. I know all the guys, and so I told him, I said, "Why didn't you caddy that good for me?" But no, it's great. When we split up, wasn't sure where I was going. LIV was coming in the picture. So I told him I was thinking about that. I was thinking about this and trying to figure it out. And then I said, man, he started some pros started calling him about, hey, what about if you come work for me? And I said, we talked about it, and I said, man, if you could find a young guy that you could help as much as you've helped me, go help them, it'd be amazing. I didn't think he was going to go to Scottie Scheffler's bag, you know what I'm saying, and change the world. But, Scottie was, at that point, Scottie was a great golfer. But, that friendship and that bond, he went to an elite golfer. I mean, that was the best year we've ever seen. Yeah. I know Tiger did some stuff in 2000, but Scottie's year was the best we've ever seen with all the talent around the world now playing. That was it. So, no, I think it's amazing. I think what we set out, we never dreamed that I could be where I'm at, and I think that they never dreamed that they could be where they're at. They did it a lot faster than me and Teddy did it, so which is great. 'Cause he has a lot more talent than I got. But no, it's great to see. I love it. When I hugged them and I saw them in the locker room at the showdown, I see him at the Masters now, and I see him now at the showdown. But so no, it's great. We still text, we still talk. It's amazing to think that he started working for me right after his daughter was born, and then now she's in college.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's right. He left the PGA this year, I think, to attend her graduation.
I know. I asked Scottie if he needed a caddy. It's weird. He didn't text me till the next day. He was in jail. What? No, you can't say that. Sorry. You can't
all
say
right.
that.
So you mentioned the showdown. You have dabbled in the on-course commentating role. Curious, like, what interests you in it? Do you think you're good at it? Do you want to do that in the future? Is this a in the moment kind of spur of the moment
So
thing?
truthfully, what it is like I just answered the question. I'm having fun right now. My wife is letting me have fun. My kids are enjoying it. They're letting me have fun, and my options are always open, right? I want to. Like I said, if you say I'm a golfer, then you're limiting who Bubba is, and so for me, the one thing I think we miss on the tour is positivity. On the PGA Tour, when I was on the PGA Tour, I think we missed positivity. So I always wanted, when you hit a shot, or Scottie hits a shot, or Rory hits a shot, or Bryson, Brooks, I want to bring positivity to it, or bring a light into their lives.
I see.
And so I feel like I have the wit or the intelligence to do that in a positive way and call the shots. Am I any good at it? No, I'm just telling you what I think. I don't watch a replay. I don't know what anybody says about me. I don't know what Twitter world says about me. But that's what my goal is, to be there for that. They didn't pay me to show up at the showdown. Take that back. They paid for my hotel room. And so, I just want to see that world. I want to see and learn it. LIV let me do 5 events when I had knee surgery.
Yeah.
When I first signed up with LIV, they let me do 5 events because I was rehabbing. I enjoyed it. I saw a different world of golf because you see the 2,000 people behind the scenes that nobody ever sees on TV that are making the magic. So I didn't know, you don't know that. You're just playing a golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
You don't think about all the other stuff that happens. And so I saw that for the first time. It's an eye-opener for me. But I enjoyed it. I don't like the guy that has to take notes and sit for 5 hours in front of the screen with a jacket on.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to be in the booth.
Yeah.
I'd rather be out. I don't think I'm...
But you could plausibly see a scenario where you do that.
I can see it for a little bit when I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
Now, if it becomes a real job, probably wouldn't like it as much.
All right, well, I'll hold on to that maybe, that you'll be doing broadcasts, but we don't even know 4, 5, 10 years from now. I'm going to have to hold on to that maybe for quite a while.
You never know. I might show up at an NBA game and be a broadcaster. You never know. I love the NBA, so
I know.
who knows?
Well, thank you, Bubba. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, man, thank you. Thanks for having me.